Okay, this is question number 3. The direction should say find all solutions for A. The equation is 2 sine of x plus a pi equals square root of 3 times quantity sine of x plus cosine of x. This is very similar to your web work question, homework question, except we changed it a little bit, but it's going to be the same method to solving A. First we want to do is see what side are we going to work with. The left side, we know that we can use the addition formula to separate that sine of x plus a pi. And on the right, we have that square root of 3. We could just multiply it in, but we can't do much more with that. So let's work with the left-hand side first. We're going to take out the 2 and then use the addition formula to separate that sine of x plus a pi. So we have sine of x times cosine of a pi plus cosine of x times sine of a pi. Okay, now we can distribute that 2 back in, and it's going to the first term as well as the second, so make sure you keep your parentheses with some of these problems, especially with negatives. So plus 2 cosine of x sine of a pi. Okay. Now if we want to work with the right hand side to distribute that square root of 3, that square root of 3 will go to the sine and to the cosine. So square root of 3 sine of x plus square root of 3 cosine of x. Now since multiplication is commutative, we can rewrite this first expression on the left as 2 cosine of a pi times sine of x, and we can do that same thing with the second. We can write it as 2 times sine of a pi times cosine of x. Now if we look at the equation that we have 2 cosine of a pi times sine of x plus 2 sine of a pi cosine of x. That all has to equal square root of 3 sine x plus square root of 3 cosine x. So again, we have two terms on each side that are added together. And we see that the coefficient in front of the sine x is 2 cosine of a pi. If we look on the other side of the equality sign, we have a square root of 3, that's the coefficient in front of the sine x. So these two coefficients have to be equal. So we're going to write an expression showing that they're equal. This goes for the cosine, the coefficients in front of the cosine as well. We have 2 sine of a pi in front of the cosine, and on the other side of the equality we have a square root of 3. So both of these also have to be equal. So we have 2 sine of a pi equals the square root of 3. And now we're going to solve for a for each of these expressions. So we divide by 2 on both sides, and we're left with cosine of a pi equals the square root of 3 divided by 2. Now you know when the cosine is equal to the square root of 3 over 2, that's when this angle is pi over 6. So whatever this is inside has to equal pi over 6. So we set pi over 6 equal to a pi, and to solve for a, we divide by pi for both sides. We find that a is equal to 1/6. Now for this other expression, we do the same thing. We have to divide by 2 on both sides, And we see that sine of a pi equals the square root of 3 over 2. And we know the sine is equal to the square root of 3 over 2 when the angle is pi over 3. So we set that equal to a pi. And again, we solve for a, so we divide by pi. And we see that a equals 1/3. However, we're not done. We have two values for a. We need to plug them both in to find whether or not these solutions are correct or are they extraneous. And we find that neither one of them works, so we have no solutions for a.